There was a massive eruption on Mount Etna, and I'm currently in Sicily and saw it live.
We'll take a look at how severe the eruption is, how great the danger is, and what happens next. So stay tuned until the end. A warm welcome, everyone.
I'm currently living in Sicily for 2 months and was just about to drink my Negroni when I suddenly saw that Mount Etna had erupted and I had to produce this video.
If you want to acknowledge this inhuman effort, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is absolutely free.
You'll never miss another natural spectacle like this again, and you're helping me out big time. Thank you so much, everyone. So I'm currently spending several months in Syracuse in southeastern Sicily, and although it's quite a distance from Mount Etna, you can still see it in all its glory on the horizon.
And when I went for my walk along the promenade this morning, I saw this. So, past the yachts. And right at the back there, you can see Mount Etna and you can see the eruption column up there, which is then blown away in this direction up here. It's really cool that you can just see that from here with the naked eye, even though it's actually quite far away. It really shows you what kind of forces are at work there. It's absolutely amazing to go for a walk in the morning and see an erupting volcano. That's how things can go in Sicily. But what actually happened? This morning at 11:24 Central European Time, things really kicked off at Etna.
But what happened? On Monday morning at 11:24 a.m. Central European Time, Mount Etna really went off. What began as the 14th eruptive episode of a relatively mild series of eruptions escalated within minutes into one of the largest pyroclastic flows observed on Mount Etna in recent years. Pyroclastic flows are like fiery avalanches, a deadly mixture of hot gases, ash and rock particles that race down the volcano's slopes at speeds of several hundred kilometers per hour. On Mount Etna, they often occur when a lava flow burns through the flank of the crater cone or when parts of the cone collapse. And that is exactly what happened today. The pyroclastic flow originated on the northeast flank of the southeast crater cone and raced down the Valle del Bove. Initial reports even suggested that it may have reached the Valle del Leone. That would have been a real worst-case scenario, as hikers often gather on the border between these two valleys. Fortunately, however, the Italian Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, INGVA, later clarified that the pyroclastic flow probably did not flow beyond this boundary. Even so, it was an impressive and dangerous spectacle. A large part of the upper Valle del Bove was engulfed by this fiery avalanche.
And if there had been any hikers there, their chances of survival would have been practically zero. But how did this dramatic event even come about in the first place?
The collapse occurred in the upper northeastern flank of the southeast crater. At the same time, the continuous activity intensified into a full-blown lava fountain. This is where it gets interesting for volcanologists. Was it a sudden increase in pressure that caused the collapse? Or conversely, did the pressure relief caused by the collapse cause the magma to rise explosively?
I was actually planning to meet Boris Spenke tomorrow, a German volcanologist who works here in Sicily for the INGV, but I suppose he now has more pressing matters to attend to in light of the eruption. For example, to pursue these fascinating questions. Volcanoes are, after all, complex systems in which cause and effect are often difficult to distinguish.
In this case, previous reports had already shown the magma had accumulated in a north-south zone beneath the southeast crater and was moving northward. During earlier eruptions, a new row of vents had even formed in the northwest of the crater cone, a potential weak zone that now proved fatal.
The effects were not long in coming. The VAAC Toulouse, which is responsible for volcanic ash warnings in air traffic, immediately raised the flight warning level to red. Volcanic ash was detected at 6,400 meters and drifted northwest. Although Catania International Airport initially remained in operation, such ash clouds can quickly lead to flight cancellations. I would guess that the airport will be closed at short notice. We'll see. Yes, a question that naturally arises here is, of course, that of tourism and safety. Mount Etna is visited daily by huge numbers of tourists. I've been up there myself 3 times. The upper cable car station is at an altitude of 2,500 meters, and from there you can take a bus even further up, to about 300 meters below the active crater cones. Just imagine if a pyroclastic flow hadn't gone north into the Valle del Bove, but south towards the cable car. That would certainly have ended in an absolute disaster. This shows the unpredictability and danger of volcanoes. Even during seemingly harmless eruptions, the situation can change dramatically within minutes.
It is also interesting to compare this to other Italian volcanoes. The ascent to Stromboli, for example, is permanently closed even during periods of normal activity. I've often stood halfway up and been unable to continue. Incidentally, Stromboli was extremely active during my last hike, and I filmed it here.
Wow, guys, look, there's the eruption.
That just happened.
What? Wow, a huge volcanic ash cloud is coming out right now. Unbelievable. Looks like a mushroom cloud. That's obviously a massive exaggeration, but still incredible. Look at that. Unbelievable. That's so cool. I've done this hike several times, and every now and then, boom, suddenly, there's an eruption like that. Sometimes it bangs here as well, quite normally, but it's still absolutely spectacular. Yes, and on the potentially much more dangerous Etna, people can just go up. Unlike on Stromboli. It's a bit strange, really. But back to what's happening now. This 14th eruptive episode actually began during the night. Around 11 p.m., the tremor, that's the measurable underground vibrations, started to increase. That's always a bit of a warning sign for volcanic activity. At 1:23, the INGV issued the first VONA warning and initially raised the alert code for air traffic to yellow. From then on, the alert level climbed quite quickly, and by 3:32 the highest alert level, red, had already been declared, as strong Strombolian eruptions were underway. These are the characteristic lava fountains that we know so well from Etna.
In the morning, continuous Strombolian eruptions from two vents in the southeast crater could be observed on the live streams. A low-density ash and steam cloud rose, and a short lava flow formed on the eastern flank of the crater cone, flowing towards Valle del Bove. What is special about this eruption is that it occurred after an unusually long pause of 3 weeks. The last episode had occurred on May 12th, and many experts had not expected another eruption in this series. This made the intensity of today's event all the more surprising. The tremor fluctuated at a high level for hours and generated several peaks.
A sign of the intense underground activity at the thermal vents in the infrared range was clearly visible, as the lava flow formed on the eastern flank and reached approximately the elevation of the base of the crater cone. What distinguishes this eruption from previous ones is, on the one hand, its intensity, specifically that of the pyroclastic flow, and, on the other hand, the relatively small lava flows.
The previous eruptions in this series had produced significantly larger lava flows, which could mean that the nature of the volcanic activity has changed, or that we are still at the beginning of a more intense phase. Initial ground deformation in the crater area was also recorded, another sign of the enormous forces at work here. Mount Etna, which is approximately 3,350 meters high, erupts several times a year and is constantly monitored by experts. These Strombolian eruptions are usually a spectacular sight and attract numerous onlookers, although today they were only able to watch from a safe distance. Today's event shows once again why volcanology is such a fascinating and challenging science. Despite state-of-the-art monitoring technology and decades of experience, volcanoes can still surprise us. Mount Etna proved today that even seemingly routine eruptions can take a dangerous turn at any time. For science, such events naturally provide valuable data about the processes inside the volcano.
Because every pyroclastic flow, every ground deformation, and every seismic tremor is analyzed in detail to improve our understanding of these immense forces of nature. We can remain curious to see how the situation at Etna develops. Of course, I will be keeping a very close eye on it for you here from Sicily. If you don't want to miss out, make sure to subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell. Thank you so much, everyone. And speaking of spectacular natural events, nature is currently showing its immense power in Switzerland as well. A massive landslide has completely destroyed the village of Platten. In the next video, I'll take you along to this dramatic event and explain how such landslides occur and why they are so unpredictable. Be sure to click on the video shown at the top right. It is just as fascinating as it is frightening.
And if you click on the bottom right, you'll find another exciting video about science and technology. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.